We'll start with Greg, something that you just mentioned to me a couple minutes ago regarding the media's access to Adrian Martinez for the first time of the spring, and he had some interesting things that he took off on.
Yeah, we got to talk to him and quarterbacks coach Mario Verduzco yesterday. So it's kind of nice to get back the second time that we've had a chance to see people in person now. Including last Wednesday. So get another shot at him tomorrow, talking to some defensive guys. But the biggest takeaway that I really had was Coach Verduzco was asked. Verduzco went before Adrian came out, and he was asked the biggest thing that he needs to see from Adrian, and it was pretty hostile the way he said it, but he said no more frickin' turnovers. And, so obviously we got a chance to speak to Adrian, and we asked him about that. And, like always, he's such an impressive young guy. You forget how young he really is, because the head that he's got on his shoulders is amazing. He sounds like he's as wise as a 50-year-old man. He knows he has to eliminate those turnovers, and, that's something that is key. And one thing that Verduzco had said is, if he cares about his teammates, he'll quit turning the ball over. Nobody wants to see the ball being turned over. The defense doesn't want to see it, and nobody does. So, yeah, I think that's one of the keys, that the emphasis going into this spring and all during the spring and going into the fall. Other than that, Adrian is very upbeat. I think he's healthier than we've seen him since his freshman year. He looks a little leaner. He actually admitted that he was a little heavy the last couple of seasons, and that's not by much. I mean, we're talking 6 or 7 pounds heavy, and he's brought down that body fat mass a little bit too. So I think you're going to see a more explosive Adrian Martinez next year, and just a better ball control, better ball manager with his decision making. And it's like we talked about last time, Mark. It's his show. It's his show now. There's no more Luke McCaffrey waiting in the wings, and it's all him. You got Logan Smothers, behind him, giving him some competition. But it's all about him right now. And another thing that was a big takeaway that I got that we'd asked Coach Verduzco was about benching Adrian and how he took it, and Coach Verduzco got very emotional about it. Saying how hard it is sometimes that you just have to tell somebody the truth, and he thinks of Adrian as his own son, and it wasn't Coach Verduzco's call either. It was Coach Frost's call to do that. So, but Coach Verduzco had agreed to it. I mean, it was his decision too. I mean, so, but it was tough, and and I think Adrian's grown a lot just by going through that competition, and then seeing what he can do, and when he's got the confidence back like that. Another thing too is he was asked about Wandale and Luke leaving, and Adrian said they got to do what's best for them, and he's going to miss being friends with them and hanging out and stuff, but he wishes them the best. No hard feelings. So those are the biggest takeaways I had out of talking with those guys yesterday.
So when it comes to the turnovers, Chris, before we cut you loose, one more thing for Greg. When it comes to the turnovers, one turnover is too many to a certain extent, but there are going to be turnovers. You're playing football against capable defenders on the other side, so they're going to happen. It's number one, how many, and it's number two, are they costly at certain times of the game? If you're up 28-3, it's not necessarily a costly turnover. But if you're driving in for the go-ahead score in the fourth quarter and you're down 17-10, then it's a costly turnover. So do we really have a metric on this? Is he turning over the ball that much compared to other quarterbacks across the country?
I haven't looked at that. I'm sure there's a stat out there. I don't know. It might be worth Googling. But, we're mainly talking about the most of all, we're talking about the fumbles, though. He's they're okay, kind of where the interception ratio is. You're never okay with it, but that's not horrible. We're talking about putting the ball on the ground where he was killing drives, and those were costly.
Hey, Chris, your thoughts. This is Chris Wall from Husker Hype. Your thoughts about Adrian Martinez. And again, I just think he's become victim to hotshot coming into college. So much expected of him. Then if there's a disappointment, and of course, the disappointment's been the entire team's performance and record, that gets blamed on the quarterback first and foremost. Not that he hasn't underachieved to some degree, but it's almost as though he can't do well enough now to satisfy people.
Yeah. I think obviously Adrian Martinez is going to be the hottest topic going into spring, which has kind of been that way. The quarterback in Nebraska is. Going back to the fumbles, I think I saw like literally an hour ago, I think Mitch Sherman like posted that Adrian Martinez leads the nation in FBS players. He has the most fumbles in the first 3 years of playing,
Wow.
which is
Holy
insane.
cow.
Which is insane.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea. So I mean, yeah, like definitely not good. I think some of that maybe you can attribute to the line and maybe the lack of offensive identity. The coach is telling him, "Hey, we need you to run the ball, we need to pass the ball," and it's just been back and forth. So I mean, there's a little bit of that, and the snaps too. I mean, I don't know how many of those snaps were then fumbles and they lost it, but yeah, obviously ball security. Going back to what Greg said with Martinez and how he looks, like, man, I think he looks great. I mean, obviously I haven't seen him in person, but just the little snaps they put on Twitter of him and him moving and everything. I think he looks really good and mobile. So I think that's positive going this year. And I think that he'll play behind arguably the best offensive line that he's played behind in his career. So it's just going to be him, making plays, and he's going to be surrounded with playmakers again, and hopefully he can find a way to make those plays. I think he's got the mindset now, and I think, like Greg said, he knows he's the guy, and obviously he is. And just going back one more thing with the coaching staff and their confidence in him, it's never wavered since day one. He's been the guy. And maybe going into this offseason, there was a lot of questions. Are they going to bring in a transfer now with Luke on? Because I mean, if Adrian goes down, or if he's not for some reason, if he's not playing well again, I mean, you're going to a guy that, I mean, Smothers, I don't think he's played football in like 2.5 years now, and no D1 snaps. So I mean, you're putting yeah, year and a half. Okay, but you're putting just a lot on Martinez, but I think he knows where he is now, and I think he'll be ready to accept that challenge.
That final offensive snap against Iowa comes to mind. Certainly that one in particular, not necessarily his fault, as he was blindsided, and that ended the offensive series and the hopes against the Hawkeyes in that one. But yeah, over the course of time, you got to think that statistic is pretty legit over that kind of course of time, and as Greg outlined, it's not necessarily been the interceptions. His interception rate has been fairly low. It's been more about putting the ball on the ground, running around as a runner